And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome aboard. I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Marine Weather Outlook on this Thursday, April 17th, 2025. The state of the sea ice, we have the ice is pushed down to almost the Pribilovs, but again, this time of year we have some melting along the edge, and we've had some winds that have tried to push things a little further south, but we are seeing openings occurring along various areas of the west coast as well as downwind of Nunavik and St. Lawrence Islands, and this trend will only continue. We are expecting the next weather system to come in later this weekend. Will not be quite as windy as this past one and may actually bring some slightly milder air up along the southwest coast. But for late tonight and into early Friday morning, we have the low center that was the strong storm that impacted the area this mid and late week, splitting into the remnant, one remnant going north along the west coast, the other heading east into the western Gulf late tonight and Friday morning. We have the heaviest rain spreading into the Panhandle tonight and into Friday, though not as focused or as heavy as what it was on Wednesday when it was coming up here into Prince William Sound and along the eastern Kenai. But nevertheless, wet weather for the Panhandle. You're going to continue to get some snow up there through the mid and upper elevations of the coastal mountains. Further north, still blizzard conditions will continue for tonight and into Friday morning and afternoon before winds begin to relax. Visibilities are below a quarter of a mile, so it makes for very dangerous travel. Better to just wait things out until the winds die down here as we head into the early weekend. By Friday afternoon, we have this weak low in the northern Gulf that will continue to work its way slowly east-southeastward over the weekend. Again, areas of rain showers across the Panhandle continue back along the Gulf Coast, heaviest over portions of the Panhandle. Interior, enough instability and leftover moisture to generate scattered instability, snow or rain and snow showers, and still a band of light snow here along areas of the North Slope and Arctic coast. Shot of colder air is heading southeast into central Canada. That will largely miss Alaska. And then for Saturday, we have just a lingering trough of low pressure extend from northwest Canada all the way back up toward the Lisburn Peninsula and upper Chukchi Sea. Meanwhile, the next low, a couple of lows here in the Bering, not very strong systems, will work their way east-northeastward, and they will not have as much impact, certainly not the kind of wind that the most recent storm did this past week. So Friday, winds will be south-southeast inner channels, 25 knots, Lynn Canal, 4 or 5 foot waves there. Stevens Passage, southeast winds 20 knots, gusts 35, waves running 3 to maybe as high as 5 feet. Down here, Dixon Entrance, outside of Ketchikan, Metlakatla, we're looking at south winds 15 knots, 7 foot waves. The outer coast, west winds 15 to 20 knots. South of Sitka, off of Craig, 9 to 10 foot waves. Southwest winds Sitka to outside of Gustavus. And then southerly winds into Yakutat Bay and Cape Suckling at right around 15 knots and 10 foot waves. Saturday, those winds will come down a bit more. We're looking at southeast winds around 10 knots, Stevens Passage and Lynn Canal with waves running a foot or two. Stevens Passage, southwest winds Dixon Entrance, 15 knot southwest winds, waves 6 to as high as 10 feet off of Prince of Wales Island. And then as we go up the coast, winds will be west-southwest off of Sitka, Gustavus, 10 to 15 knots before turning offshore around Yakutat and Cape Suckling east-northeast at 10 knots. Friday's winds, Prince William Sound, southerly just 10 knots, waves a couple of feet tops. Generally west-southwest winds off the eastern Kenai and outside of Hinchinbrook Entrance, 20 to 25 knots. Lower Cook Inlet entrance there, west winds of 25 knots, becoming more southerly as you get up toward Kenai and up in the north end of Cook Inlet. Waves running right around 4 or 5 feet. And then on Saturday, lighter winds, variable winds only around 10 knots. Prince William Sound, the area between Hinchinbrook Entrance, Kayak Island, and off the Kenai coast. Winds within Prince William Sound, within Cook Inlet, generally southwesterly around 10, 15 knots, maybe 20 knots there down toward the entrance of Cook Inlet with waves 4 to 5 feet. Across the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island for Friday, winds will be westerly 25 to 30 knots in the vicinity of Kodiak Island. As we trail out along the Alaska Peninsula, winds fall off to around 15 knots, mainly from the southwest. Waves running 4 to 6 feet on the North Pacific side, maybe 5-6 feet on the Bering side. For Saturday, southwest winds only around 15 knots in the vicinity of Kodiak Island. Those winds are going to try to turn back around toward the southeast, especially along the Bering side of the peninsula. And that's in advance of that low and weak frontal system that'll work its way north and eastward over the course of the weekend. And then for the Aleutians on Friday, eastern Aleutians, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, including Nikolsky and Unalaska. As we get further, west winds become southerly to southeasterly at 15 knots. And then on Saturday, you can see that weak low circulation lifting north of the central Aleutians. So ahead of it, south-southwest winds 25 to 30 knots on Alaska through Nikolsky, Atka. And then as we get west of Adak, those winds turn more westerly at 20 to 25 knots. Along the southwest coast, variable winds to start out in the Pribilovs around St. Paul, only 10 knots. But otherwise, westerly winds all along the southwest coast from Bristol Bay up into Norton Sound. Strongest winds will be around 25 knots into Norton Sound, but otherwise generally 15 to 20 knots along the YK deltas through Kuskokwim and Bristol Bay. Waves where there is no ice, maybe a few feet. Then on Saturday, look for east-southeast winds 25 knots, St. Matthew down through St. Paul. Southeast winds 20 knots within Bristol Bay, east winds out of Kuskokwim Bay, but southerly winds along the lower Yukon Delta, and southwest winds there, that wider expanse of Norton Sound between Nome and Imanik. And for the Bering Strait on Friday, south of there, we're looking at northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, Wales down to Port Clarence, Nome, as well as on the north side of St. Lawrence Island. As we come up through along the Chukchi coast, winds are going to turn to the east and increase, especially north of Point Lay. We're looking at 30 to 35 knot easterly winds. Still blizzard warnings, dangerous conditions along the Arctic coast between Point Hope all the way eastward through Kaktovik and Demarcation Bay. So hang tight till conditions begin to improve. That should happen. On Saturday, winds will come down to 20 to 25 knot easterly winds from Kaktovik down through Point Lay. And then lower Chukchi, look for generally south-southwest winds around 10 to 15 knots. And then south of the Bering Strait, much lighter winds, westerly 5 knots there along the west side of the Seward Peninsula. And then look for just weak southeast or variable winds around 5 knots along the north side of St. Lawrence.